Welcome to another edition of Drugs, Crime, and Politics. I'm your host, Buford Terrell. The program is brought to you by the Drug Policy Forum of Texas. I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Clay Jones.
Good evening.
And we've got a rather action-filled show tonight. You can see between us a chair for a mystery guest that will be joining us a little later.
Which camera?
We have a musical act or two later in the show, so things will be a little different tonight. I think that we can start out. There was an interesting editorial in one of the major Chicago papers this weekend, a Sunday editorial, saying that the war on drugs was lost, that we needed to legalize drugs to cut the price down and in effect starve the Mexican cartels to death. We have been arguing the price of prohibition for a long time. Finally, we're starting to see some response from the people that shape opinions and hopefully even make laws to this.
I got a friend that's in Baytown.
Yeah.
He went to the doctor this week. He has a lot of problems with his liver.
Yeah.
And they have him on Marinol.
Yeah.
And the doctor told him, you'd be better off getting the real thing rather than using this artificial. It's only one cannabinoid, THC.
Right.
And the doctor was even telling him and his wife, all drugs should be legal.
Yeah. Well, it's
right across the board. Somebody can be taken care of for $6 a day as far as their drug habit.
Yeah. There's that, and something I've been looking into is that employers that do drug testing, even in the states where medical marijuana has been legalized by the state, have been firing people for testing positive for marijuana. But to the best I can find out, the tests that are being used today only test for THC, so that the tests that they administer cannot distinguish between marijuana and Marinol.
No, it cannot.
And since they allow people with prescriptions for
Marinol?
For narcotics, like Vicodin or Oxycontin, to continue working even if they flunk drug test for opiates, it looks to me like anyone carrying a prescription for Marinol, even if they are in fact using marijuana instead, should be safe on an employment drug test.
Yes.
And you don't have to fill that prescription. I believe we have a phone call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, man. I'm from West Indies, right?
From the West Indies, yes.
From the West Indies, yes. From Guyana, South America.
Yes, and you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I want to know, I do a lot of marijuana. I'm a herbalist, plenty.
Yes.
So, and, from the years I do, I'm 6-7 years old, man.
Okay.
And I do it daily, with no problem, no fatigue, no sick, no eye, no belly, no problem, no heart, lung, blood pressure, nothing. So I can't see the reason why they want to legalize this thing and so it could help people.
Well, thank you, and I agree with you. Now,
Both agree.
one interesting thing that he brought up is that he's 70 years old. One of the things that has baffled a lot of the so-called authorities is that several of the recent surveys show that the greatest increase in respondents that admit to using marijuana are the 50-year-old and up categories. Now, whether they're using more or just admitting it more, no one really knows for sure. But, it's not simply a kid's toy. And if you think about it, someone who was 20 years old in 1970, which would have put him a teenager right at the height of the revolution, would be 50 years old today. The baby boomers are our senior citizens. So, yeah, it's not just something the kids do.
Yeah. Young kids might do it to get high, but I think people of our age group, we see the value in it medically, on our body.
You know, it's more than medically, though. Most people of my generation or my parents' generation would come home from work and stir up a martini or two and sit down and relax with it. Frankly, coming home and sparking a joint and sitting down to relax is a whole lot more beneficial to your health than a couple of martinis. And I think a lot of people realize that now. The other thing is, as our caller, 70 years old, smoking his whole life, said, a lot of these 50 and 60 and 70-year-olds that are, in effect, coming out of the green closet, wear suits and ties to work every day. They have letters after their names, and some of them, I think, are a little bit cautious because they want to keep the title in front of their names as well. But, you know, it's not the cause of being a slacker. If we look at kids, yeah, the slackers and the stoners are frequently the same people. But as near as I can tell, it's the slacking that comes first, and they pick up the weed because it fits their lifestyle. It's not that smoking marijuana destroys ambition or cuts down on ability or interferes with work. It's, if anything, the other way around. It's becoming a social drug for all ages. Now, this is not to denigrate at all the medical side to it. But even there, I'm taking a different approach from most people.
You know, I have been very strong about medical.
Yeah.
And probably within the last 6-8 months, I've become legalize it. I mean, it's foolish. California is seeing it as a panacea for all the cities for their to bridge their deficits.
Yeah.
We can stop putting so many people in jail. We could start letting people out on a bond.
Well, if we're going to do this, most people know that my quarrel is with prohibition laws. They don't prohibit anything, and they cause all sorts of corruption, violence, danger. And more, I'm extending it past drug prohibition. We see the same things happen when we prohibit gambling. We see the same things happen when we prohibit prostitution. We see the same things that happen when we prohibited alcohol. You don't stop the activity. You just make a bunch of greedy, violent, lawless criminals rich, corrupt law enforcement, and get innocent people injured and killed. Prohibition is the evil, not the thing prohibited.
Well, the prohibition just leads into things like forfeiture.
Yeah.
And that forfeiture, I mean, a police department that is going to benefit directly from a forfeiture, it shouldn't happen.
Well, back in the 1920s, several of the states had laws in which justices of the peace got their salaries from the fines they collected. Now, if you've got a justice of the peace that only gets paid when he collects a fine, guess how many people he finds not guilty? The Supreme Court in the 1920s said that letting the judge profit from a finding of guilty was unconstitutional because it affected the presumption of innocence. To me, it's exactly the same conflict of interest when you allow a police officer or a police department to profit from their making the arrest. That doesn't lead to fair arrests. It doesn't lead to good arrests. It simply leads to more arrests. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know, you were talking about California.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got the proposition that's been approved for the ballot this year, or
Yes.
this year on legalizing. Let's see what this caller has to say. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, yes, sir. I just wanted to talk to you guys and see if you'd heard about that. I saw a documentary on, I believe it was YouTube or something like that, but they were talking about how hemp and politics back in the trade days, back in when they were trading, the hemp was pretty much outlawed by the politicians because they didn't want to impede on another resource that they were selling. So they made these laws and had this propaganda machine going to paint hemp in a bad light. Also through legislation, they also blocked the sale of it.
Okay. You know, that's one of the most common myths that floats around. And a bunch of people believe that Hertz of the newspapers pushed the laws against marijuana so that hemp wouldn't interfere with his newsprint business from wood pulp. The problem is hemp had already practically disappeared from any commercial market in this country 20 to 30 years before that. There weren't any machines that could handle the processing of hemp. It required extensive amounts of hand labor to turn hemp fiber into a useful product. And the only people that could afford it after that were the Navy, who needed the rope. So when the hemp growers lost their slaves at the end of the Civil War, they no longer could afford to grow hemp commercially. And by about 1920, it had all but disappeared. And the other side, hemp paper is great paper, but it's very expensive paper. It replaces high-end stationery. It's the stuff that money was printed on until the 1930s. But it never was competitive with the cheap newspaper paper. You just really couldn't do newspapers the way they're done on hemp paper. So it makes a great story. It's just that when you really look at what was going on, it couldn't have happened that way. The story is actually meaner and more evil than that. The western and southwestern states, especially as agricultural work fell apart in the 20s and 30s, were trying to get rid of the Mexican immigrants that had been coming in. They passed state laws against marijuana, and these western state governments pressured the federal government for an anti-marijuana law so that they could use it to force the Mexicans back out of the country into Mexico. Well, I guess I talked too long and we missed that caller. So before we get to the first break, I thought I would give us a nice lead up to it. This story and the first break both are about censorship. Cannabis TV, or Cannabis, let me get the name right here. Cannabis Planet Television sponsored a car in NASCAR. Let's take the call first. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I got a question for you. With, I guess, like, all the years that this movement, since it turned, you know, back in the old days when it was okay, and now how it's like so scrutinized to do the marijuana, you know, people going to jail daily. It's like, with all these people trying to legalize it nowadays, like, how do you think, besides taxation, you know, how else do you think the government's going to try to make money off of this?
Okay, thank you. Well, the question really is, the government's not making money now. They're spending over $40 billion a year on the war on drugs. It's about time to take a break. The history behind this break, Normal purchased an ad on the Super Bowl, but CBS refused to show it. So Normal then tried to arrange to have it shown on the gigantic TV screen on Times Square in New York, but that was blocked as well. Well, for our first break tonight, we're going to show you the ad that was censored by CBS and barred from Times Square. So let's look at what Normal was trying to tell the country. Okay, get Herman in.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you're watching Drugs, Crime, and Politics.
We're back. We have been joined by Herman Garcia of GraphX Productions, and he is helping Normal prepare their 420 celebration this year. We're really going all out. 420 in Houston this year lasts for 3 days, so we're going to ask Herman to say a word or two about the festival and introduce the musical acts.
Basically, the 420 Festival is a bunch of musicians getting together to try to support Normal, to try to end the madness. Basically, the musicians all know that we have to do something about this, and they're the first bands that first people that want to help and support this great cause. So it wasn't very difficult at all to get them to agree to do this show. There's 3 days, just like you said, 3 days of music at the Jet Lounge. It's April 18th, 19th, and 20th. We're going to have also an after party at the Last Concert Cafe on the 24th on Saturday. So if you can't go on the 18th, 19th, and 20th to the actual 420 Festival, please show up at the after party. We will have some of the bands from the Jet Lounge show up at the Last Concert Cafe. Let me read off the list of the bands at the 420 Festival. It's going to be Captain Rick, Sculpting Atrocity, Black Hole Caravan, Avenger, The Buxleys, Awake at Dawn, Cornhole Dukes, Torsectomy, 10-Ton Hammer, 4 O'Clock, Porifera, Irene, Five Eyes Wide, Lost Mind, H-Town Image, Salmex, Calling Chase, More Cowbell, Texas, Jimson Jolly, Tragedy, Bigastar with Black Sheep, and just to let you know, Bigastar just did a show at Madison Square Garden with Ziggy Marley, and so they're actually one of the bands that is right now in the 100 Billboard chart. Ion, Hatred, Heavy Stone, Anguish and Exile, Deep Six, Alligator Assassins, Witness the Fall, Loud Sue, and Zone of Inhibition. The music is all different styles of music, all different varieties of music, all types of appealing genres. So we ask that people come out, support Normal, support the musicians. They're all Houston-based. There's a couple of bands from Austin that are coming down to show us their support for this cause. But basically, like I said, They're all musicians that are down for the cause of normal. There's really no need for us to have this show go on year and year and year and year, and we really need to try to make this like one of the few shows to last, and then so that way we can divert our money to something else other than normal. But if we can make this legal, we won't have to do this again. But hopefully next year, if it's still the need is there, we'll do it again.
Now, there will be speakers as well as bands.
Correct.
I promise to keep my remarks to 2 minutes or under so that I don't really interfere with any of the bands. And this is located at the Jet Lounge.
The Jet Lounge, which is in downtown, 1515 Ps, which most people, if you know where the engine room is, it's right next to the engine room. It's like I said, if you're coming down into downtown Houston, you can take P's on down, and then right there, real close to the Toyota Center, you'll see it's a small little venue, but it's right next to the engine room. Okay. It's right in the corner.
Now, Herman, you brought a couple of the acts with us tonight.
Correct.
So why don't you introduce the first group, and we'll sit back and enjoy.
All right, the first band is the Cornhole Dukes. Once again, this is a Houston band, all original music, and that's I hope that you guys can appreciate that. And this is, I guess, their television debut.
Okay, take it away.
Legalize it. Yeah. Before the dawn, showed my ass, got your number wrong. One shoe's tied, other one is gone. Behind the 8-ball, debutantes do it all. Yes, they do. The pastor slipped. She knew it was over when he kissed her lips. Was it the mirror, the writing on the wall? When you buy an 8-ball, debutantes do it all. Yes, they do. Yeah, that was song number 1. Well, thank you, fellas. You know what I mean? Here's another tender little love ballad. My name's Johann Sebastian Bunghole, the Cornhole Dukes, and we're just saying we're glad to be here to support your cause. This is another tender little love ballad. Called Women These Days. I just wrote it yesterday. Fiending with your best friend, well, I don't wanna see the show. Loved and lost like I have, you don't even wanna know. Grandma was cool, your mama was alright, y'all ain't what the fuck. Women these days. All that you do is put me down, a bad actress with a habit. You bite my style, bad taste in my mouth. You're not what's stupid anymore. Grandma was cool, your mama was alright, y'all ain't what the fuck. Women these days. Women these days. Talk about women these days. Women these days. Women these days.
Thank you, and we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll have another musical number. So see you in a couple of minutes.
I think the Bible is pretty clear that it expects justice and mercy and compassion. And I believe that to start with, and from my work as a criminologist, that our drug policy falls quite short on the issue of justice. That people are unequally treated depending on their ethnicity, their social class. And the Bible contains more than 2,000 scriptures decrying the injustice related to poverty, to oppression, to corrupt government.
This week in drug war history, March 27, 2001, Governor Garcia of Chihuahua, Mexico, says he would support legalization of certain drugs to dilute the power of criminal groups that benefit from the black market. March 28, 2002, Federal Judge Emmett G. Sullivan rules that the Barr Amendment effectively prohibited the plaintiffs from gathering signatures to place Washington, D.C.'s medical marijuana initiative on the ballot. March 28, 2003, the Hemp Industries Association, several hemp food and cosmetic manufacturers, and the Organic Consumer Association petitioned the Ninth Circuit to once again prevent the DEA from ending the legal sale of hemp seed and oil products in the U.S. March 29, 2000, CNN reports that a multi-nation drug sweep known as Operation Conquistador netted 2,331 arrests. March 30th, 1961, the UN Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs is convened in New York City. This is Steve Nolan for the Drug Truth Network.
Hi, I'm Ethan Nadelman, the founder and executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance. You're watching Drugs, Crimes, and Politics. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome back. We're in Drugs, Crime, and Politics. We have with us Herman Garcia of GraphX Production, who is helping Normal produce the 420 Festival. And he brought with him another of the musical acts. Who do we have now, Herman?
H-Town Image. They're rappers, and they're, once again, original music from here in Houston. And I definitely want to emphasize that a lot of the acts they're going to be playing here at the 420 Festival is original music. You know, they want to show their creativity, and they want to make sure that people have a reason to come out. You're not going to see music like this anywhere else. So please come out, support Normal, support the bands. But most of all, let's try to get some change and try to make some people open up their eyes and make a difference.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's your boy H-Town Image, man. Gonna start that track. What's up, H-Town out there? Me and your boy Davo. We call this When I Blow Up, you know what I'm saying? We just almost there. And we ain't stopping here, you hear me? Yeah. A lot of people running with me. Let me talk to you. Yeah. Hey, when I blow up. 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 Yeah. H-Town, yeah. H-Town, yeah. H-Town, yeah. H-Town, yeah. H-Town, we make it. Tell me what you wanna do. Party live with me, you and the crew, and even do things we ain't get to do. Now we find living like work, getting used to. Never had something to grow into. More money, more problems, never turn on you. But here's a little son that a plan to do. Get a house on the hill with a car or two. And if you want the same, you can have that too. But where you wanna stay, and who next to? Forgive me for the things that'll put you through. Not a life will turn on a brother like you that got my back. So no matter what it is, I got your back. I bust through the door like this. Tell me where they at. Talk about change, better change that back. When I'm in the game, I'ma change that back. So who keeps saying I don't flow like that, like go like that, just hold like that. Yeah. Hey, when I blow up. Hey, when I blow up. Hey, when I blow up. Hey, H-Town now. Hey, H-Town now. Say H-Town now. Say H. Say H. Say H-Town now. Say H-Town now. When I blow up. Say H-Town now. Say H-Town now. Let me shut this out to you. When we make it, tell me what you wanna do, where you wanna stay, who next to. Forgive me for the things that I put you through, but a life full of stress that'll upset you. I never had the best until I met you, and money ain't a thing when it come to us too. That's why when we make it, we gon' be alright. First chance to get, I'ma make you my wife. So gonna come down, get whatever you like. No matter what it is, I ain't worried about the price. And you can have the world when the money get right. So till with T.I., maybe Trey Songz, put a smile on your face, baby, you that one. I go out the way to do that for no need to front. That's why when you actually get whatever you want, you the one that I need, that I see with my see. I wanna make you happy, baby, like you make me. When I think about the world, think about you and me. So when we make it, tell me what you wanna be, huh?
Money ain't a thing. Give you everything. Put you in a match. For what you mean to me. Feel like it's my time. Whenever you wanna go, you already know. You already know. I blow up. Tell me, baby, who you want.
When I blow up.
Tell me, baby, what you want.
H-Town now. Hey, when I blow up. H-Town now. Hey, when I blow up. H-Town now. Hey, when I blow up. Hey. I'm saying it's your boy Image and Davo, you know what I'm saying? When I blow up, that's what it is. Feel me? H-Town now. Hey, H-Town now. Hey, H-Town now. Hey, H-Town now.
When I blow up, tell me, baby, what you wanna see.
What you wanna see?
When I blow up, tell me, baby, what you wanna be. When I blow up, we gon' live it up.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Well, it looks like that you have got a whole spectrum of entertainment lined up for us.
Like I said, it's all different styles of music. It's diverse from reggae, rap. We have heavy metal. We have country. We have, like I said, all different styles. So it'll appeal to everybody. There's no reason why you need to sit at home and just watch TV. Come out, support local music, support a great cause. You know, it's once a year, but it's like I said, hopefully we don't have to do these too much more often. But while we do, we need to come out and like I said, open up some eyes.
Well, I might also say that just like all of these bands are chipping in to support us in this endeavor, we can darn sure show up for the festival and support them with our attention, our pleasure, our applause, and whatever else your heart calls for. Now, Herman says he hopes that we will get something done so we can quit having these parties. My own personal feeling is I hope we can get something done so that we can keep having parties, but have them even better. It's time to make 420 a national holiday. We've got a phone call coming in. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hey, what's going on?
Do you have a comment?
Hey, what's going on?
We're out on the show. Can you turn your TV down?
Okay, yeah, can you give me that?
Yeah, that's much better. Do you have a comment or question?
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering about how many like the quantity of marijuana do you think should be legal?
Okay.
As much as you can carry.
Yeah, how big are your arms? You know, we don't ask you how much Coca-Cola you buy when you go to the store. You can go down and you can buy as many cartons of beer as you can stack in your SUV. Now, we do say that you're not supposed to drive that SUV after you've drunk more than a couple of them, but you can buy all of it you want to buy. And I think there's also a question of how little can you be able to buy. I personally think that if someone has a rock concert, you ought to be able to buy a single joint just like you can buy a single beer or a single bag of popcorn. So, you know, why put a limit on it? We're supposed to be adults. We know how to limit use, or if we don't limit use, we at least know how to limit our behavior. And remember, marijuana particularly, and this I can't say often enough, marijuana is not like alcohol. If you're high, you know you're high, you know what you're supposed to do about it. It's not like alcohol when after you've had a half a dozen, you're convinced that you're the world's best NASCAR racer, that your 1997 Mustang is the world champion stock car racer,
and it'll go down.
And I-45 is a bank track. Now, alcohol does that to you. Marijuana doesn't. And I think that's one of the big problems is that people confuse the two. But, you know, one of the problems is if you put limits on it, then all of a sudden you've given reason to people to avoid those limits, which gives some bootlegger an opportunity to make a lot of money by selling around the limits. You know, try buying alcohol after the stores have closed. You can do it, but it's going to cost you several times the legal amount.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to add anything to it?
No, you're covering it quite well.
You know me, my mouth gets started and it never knows when to stop.
No, well, one of the things that I want to tell people, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, I'm allergic to marijuana, believe it or not. I'm highly allergic, but I personally believe that if some people need this medically, there should be no reason why they shouldn't have it. But at the same time, I like you said, if somebody can go out and buy a case or two of beer and have the same effects, or if not worse, than somebody smoking a joint.
A lot worse.
You know, to me, it's idiotic. It just really is idiotic. It just boggles the mind.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
You're on the air.
I would like to say that drugs would be okay only if people wouldn't abuse it.
If people what?
Don't abuse it.
Don't abuse it? You know, the world would be a nice place if nobody abused anything. But if you look, for instance, at my shape, I've been known to abuse food a little bit. If you look at some people who put in 20 hours a day at the office and never see their family, they abuse work. I've met a few people that actually abused church. They stayed at that church house so much time, the rest of their life just totally fell apart. We can't blame the drugs or the work or the food or the booze for the actions of people. We have to assume that adults are responsible for their own actions. And yes, are people going to abuse drugs? There's no doubt that there will be. We have another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I smoke every day. You know, I like to smoke weed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really do feel like they ought to legalize it in Houston all around.
Okay. That's,
you know?
Yeah.
We ought to legalize it across the country all around. Yeah. Never mind just Houston.
So I know I want to be able to go anywhere. At least give me at least like two ounces. If I can say that on TV, at least 2. You know, just to ride with, because I like to smoke every day when I wake up and go to sleep.
Okay, that's a nice comment. You know, chances are, if it's legal, we'll probably see packages of 1/4 ounce, an ounce. Some people may buy more, but it's not the kind of thing that most people are going to buy a 1/2 ton and put it in their garage.
No.
It just doesn't work that way.
No, you'll see it just like cigarette companies.
Yeah, and I think one thing to point out, a pack of cigarettes, and I'll admit I'm horribly addicted, is just about an ounce of tobacco. Now, normally when we see marijuana, it's still in the bud on the stem, so there's a whole lot more space taken up. But if you want to think about an ounce, a pack of cigarettes is about an ounce of tobacco, so that gives you something to think about. If you want to think in terms of grams, and occasionally in the paper you'll see references to grams, when you go to the restaurant and you get one of those little pink or blue packages of artificial sweetener, that has about 1 gram in that. So 1 gram's not very much weight.
And 1/100 of a gram is a couple of little grains of that sugar. And that's what they arrest people for when it's drugs.
Well, when it's cocaine or opiates.
Yes.
Yeah, they've quit doing that here locally.
What they need to do is just step on that crack pipe and be done with it.
Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling about, I wanted to say that I feel like they should be able to legalize it because a lot of people use it for medical purposes.
Okay.
And, you know, the medication that people take sometimes has a lot of side effects. And it's better to use the natural herb because it doesn't give you a lot of side effects.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the way that we can do that is if young lady that just called, you and everybody you know needs to sit down, write their state legislators, exactly what you just said. That's all you need to say. You're a state senator. And make appointments. Go see these people.
It's more important also you're U.S. congressman because the federal law has to be changed, and it's time to take another one of our breaks.
And come out to the 420 Festival.
Yeah.
The jury right to say not guilty is an essential safeguard against injustice, which dates back to English common law and the founding of the United States. Jurors in early 19th century America routinely refused to enforce the Alien and Sedition Act, and they rejected the Fugitive Slave Act. Jurors in early 20th century America refused to enforce alcohol prohibition. The injustices of the war on drugs have become obvious to many Americans. In cases where the law, prosecutorial excesses, and the likely sentence seem manifestly unfair, jury nullification ensures the citizen juror a more equal status with those who write the laws. Please visit the Fully Informed Jury Association, FIJA.org. Please keep such decisions private. Nullification is your right, your responsibility, perfectly legal and just.
Hi, I'm Dean Becker of the Drug Truth Network, and you're watching Drugs, Crime, and Politics.
Welcome back to Drugs, Crime, and Politics. I believe we had a caller during the break. Hello, caller, you're on the air, and thank you for waiting.
Hi, my question is, why is it illegal to grow marijuana in the backyard, but I could have a whole backyard full of poppies?
Okay. Why is it illegal to grow marijuana, but you can have poppies? Actually, if you get out your handy-dandy seed catalogs, I think you'll find that it's getting almost impossible, if not impossible, to get poppy seeds anymore. And it probably is just as illegal to grow poppies. I haven't checked on that because, as far as I know, there's no one growing their own poppies. However, I might point out that historically, commercial poppies for opium were grown all across the United States in the 1900s. I think we do need to, I want to thank Herman for coming by to talk to us about 420. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello, do you have a question or comment?
I'd like to ask a question. If marijuana was legalized, what do you think the age would be towards to use it?
Okay. There's a question there, what do I think the age would be? And also the question, what do I think the age should be? Chances are, with what I'm hearing these days, most of any law that would be passed right now would probably put age 21 on it, just like most states have for drinking. Some people are talking about setting it at 18, since that's the age at which legally people become adults. But I've been thinking about something a little different. Many states have gone to a graduated driver's license program. where you can't get a driver's license until you're 18. But if you take a course and pass a test, you get a restricted driver's license that lets you drive in daytime hours without any passengers when you're 16. And since one of the problems we have with people in this country is learning how to drink alcohol responsibly, how to use marijuana responsibly, I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea to have the same sort of limited marijuana license so that if a 16-year-old goes to school, passes the test, they could get a state-issued card that would let them buy, say, no more than a half an ounce a week until they reach the age of 18. So I think something to let people learn how is not a bad idea.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but you're going to have everybody get his buddy to buy what I didn't get for myself.
You know, you're going to have that if the age is 21 or 25. If you're limited on the learner's permit to a half an ounce a week, there'll be much less buying it for their buddy than there would be if it were just a straight age 21 cutoff. Because it's not hard to find a 21-year-old to buy as much as you want.
Really?
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Yes, you're on the air. Do you have a question?
Hello?
Yes, do you have a question or comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I can't hear.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you, so go ahead with your question.
The drug?
Yes.
She hung up.
Okay. Apparently she couldn't hear us, but maybe she'll call back. Anyway, were you going to say something else on the age issue?
No, I don't know. The age, I've seen people responsible at 18. I've seen people irresponsible at 23.
Or 60.
Really?
Well, I do know this, that I raised 2 kids rather successfully. And believe it or not, I was a teenager once myself. And every teenager I've ever known has at one time or another experimented with the majority of things like cars and sex and cigarettes and alcohol, and in my case, growing up when I did in West Texas, guns. I used to go hunting when I was a kid. And quite frankly, if I were raising another kid, and if they promised me, and I thought they would observe it, I would gladly buy them all of the marijuana or ecstasy they wanted if I could keep them away from tobacco, alcohol, cars, and cigarettes. I mean, it's silly to worry about teenagers and weed when we turn them loose with cars and alcohol. And you know, that's the funny thing. We keep hearing frightening stories about marijuana as the gateway drug. The studies show that if there is any such thing as a gateway drug, and that's probably doubtful,
milk,
it's alcohol. Well, I mean, we can joke and say it's milk because every heroin user that ever lived drank milk first. But the best indicator for later substance abuse problems in life is early use of alcohol or cigarettes, particularly before age 12. We had that first break tonight with the normal ad that got censored from CBS. There was another case of censorship in California this last week. Let's take a call first. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys could comment about the legalization of drugs in Mexico. I know they had legalized I saw the numbers and or the quantities, and I don't understand what they are. But from my understanding, it's personal use of marijuana, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines.
Yes.
Comment on that. And
yeah, that's correct. In Mexico, within the last few months, they finalized a law that decriminalizes, now we want to stress decriminalize, not legalize it, personal possession of personal amounts of drugs for one's own use. And I think that's something like, and I'm not sure about the numbers myself, but it's something like a half a gram or less of cocaine, amphetamines, or opiates, an equally small amount of marijuana, I'm not sure which. Now, part of the problem there was they wanted to redirect their law enforcement from the typical harassment type street arrest that we see so commonly in this country and focus them more on the major dealers. But anyways, I started to say there's a beautiful example of censorship on the West Coast this week. Cannabis Week TV, which is a commercial program now showing in 4 or 5 markets in California, has sponsored a race car in one of the smaller West Coast NASCAR circuits. And some of the advertisers on their car, medicalgrow.com, Green Garden Directory, Advanced Nutrients, Americans for Safe Access, and Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Now, we were going to have a video clip showing this car, but NASCAR made them pull the video and it's no longer available. This is a local version of what CBS did, but if commercial television has a cannabis show and sponsors a NASCAR racer in California, I think the end of the war on drugs is closer than we think. If you want to see Cannabis Planet, they have it on the web at www.cannabisplanet.tv. I haven't looked at it. I don't know what they do.
It's a good program.
Yeah, apparently aimed at medical marijuana in California. And we're just about to run out of time. I didn't get to open my broccoli file, but we'll try to do that on the next show. The main thing, as we always do, we'll stress that get in touch with your elected representatives, local, state, and federal. Be sure they know how you feel about the drug laws. And please, please, please come out and join us at all of the days of the 420 celebration in Houston, including the Art Car After Party. These will be at the Jet Lounge the 18th, 19th, and 20th, and the last Concert Cafe on April the 24th. So I hope to see all of you out for 420 this year, and let's all look for legalization in the years to come. Anything? Last word?
Last word. Sit down, write that letter longhand. Only has to be a paragraph to these representatives. It does more good than any of the emails, anything like that. Just try to, one paragraph.
We have these private prisons that have now hired lobbyists to go get minimum mandatories.
I began to understand that the 17 or the 19-year-old kid I had in the backseat of my police car was not a criminal at all.
Remove the profit motive. If you remove the profit motive, you can do away with almost all these problems. And how do you do that? Simple. The end prohibition, which can only mean one thing. Legalize drugs. Legalize all drugs.
If we really want to improve our urban neighborhoods, the most important thing that we could do, the single most important thing,